The moment I walked into the banquet hall, I felt the tension in the air. It was supposed to be a celebratory evening for my mother-in-law, Eleanor, but the weight of the unspoken drama felt like it could cut through the fancy decor. I was just hoping for a peaceful night, but of course, that was never going to happen when it came to this family. My name is Erin Westbrook, and tonight, I was attending a family dinner that had all the makings of a disaster. It wasn't the food or the venue, those were perfect. No, the problem was one person, and she was sitting front and center, my sister-in-law, Veronica. From the moment I had met Veronica, something about her always rubbed me the wrong way. She was the type of person who believed the world revolved around her, and if you didn't agree, you were immediately a target. She never liked me, not since the day I married her sister, Rachel. To her, I was just an outsider, a lesser, someone who didn't have the family name or the money to match. But that wasn't the worst of it. Veronica didn't just treat me poorly, she went out of her way to make me feel like I didn't belong. That night, she was at her best, strutting around in a designer dress, her smirk plastered across her face like it was a permanent fixture. And of course, I wasn't surprised when she made her way toward me at the bar, looking like a cat about to pounce. "Erin, we need to talk," she said with a voice as sweet as venom. I knew exactly what this was going to be about, and I didn't want to deal with it. "Veronica, I don't think we do," I replied, swirling my drink in my hand, not even bothering to look at her. "Oh, but we do," she insisted, resting a hand on my arm as though it was some deeply personal matter. "It's about the seating arrangements." I set my glass down, my patience wearing thin. "What seating arrangements?" Her lips curled into a grin, and she leaned in close, her voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. "You'll be at table 12, the one near the back by the bathrooms. It's a family event, after all, and you don't exactly count as family, do you?" I stared at her for a long moment. This was it, the latest attempt at putting me in my place. But this time, she wasn't going to win. Not tonight. "Excuse me? You want me to sit in the back while you and your precious family sit at the main table?" I asked, my voice laced with disbelief. She just shrugged, acting as if she had done nothing wrong. "It's just a small change. Don't make it sound so bad. You're still invited." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "I organized this event, Veronica. I'm the one who paid for everything, and you want me to sit in the back like I'm some stranger?" "Oh, I'm sure you can find something to do back there," she said, as though dismissing me entirely. "It's just for tonight, Erin. You wouldn't want to make things uncomfortable for Rachel, would you?" Her words stung, but I wasn't going to let her see that. "Let's get one thing straight. Rachel's my wife, and if anyone's making things uncomfortable, it's you." Veronica's eyes narrowed as she studied me, and for a moment, I wondered if I'd finally pushed her too far. But she simply smirked again. "Don't make a scene, Erin. It's just a dinner. No need to overreact." I knew she was testing me. She wanted me to back down. But I wasn't about to. Not this time. Before I could respond, the waiter appeared beside us, holding a clipboard. "Mr. Westbrook, just confirming the additional orders. Lobster bisque, filet mignon, and a bottle of 1995 Bordeaux. Veronica said you approved them." I blinked, the reality of the situation hitting me like a slap in the face. She'd ordered the most expensive dishes without asking me first. And now, she was going to make me pay for it. I looked at Veronica, the corners of my lips curling into a smile. "I approved nothing, Veronica. You just assumed I'd foot the bill for your indulgence, didn't you?" She scoffed, not even the slightest hint of guilt in her eyes. "Oh, relax, Erin. It's just a party. Let the family enjoy it." I wasn't going to let her off the hook. Not now. Not ever. "You're right, Veronica," I said, tapping my phone screen to open my banking app. "Let's make sure everything's taken care of, no limits." I glanced up at her, watching as the smug look on her face faltered. "Go ahead, order whatever you want." It's all on me. She blinked, clearly caught off guard. What are you playing at? Nothing, I said smoothly, picking up my glass and finishing my drink. Just making sure you have a good time. I walked away, leaving Veronica to stew in her surprise. I could feel her eyes boring into my back, but I didn't care. My goal wasn't to get into a fight with her, it was to let her know exactly who was in control tonight. And it wasn't her. As I made my way toward the main table, I spotted Rachel laughing with Eleanor, my mother-in-law. I let out a breath of relief. Finally, some normalcy in this mess. Ryan. Darling, come here. Eleanor called out when she spotted me. Her warm embrace made everything feel a little better. You did such a great job planning all of this. I can't thank you enough, she continued, squeezing my hand affectionately. It was my pleasure, Eleanor, I said, trying to hide the frustration still bubbling in me. Rachel turned to me, concern etched on her face. What's going on? You look tense. Just dealing with Veronica, I said with a forced smile. Nothing I can't handle. Eleanor sighed, shaking her head. That girl thrives on drama. She's impossible. I chuckled, trying to shake off the negativity. Don't worry about me. I've got this covered. But deep down, I knew this dinner was just getting started. And before the night was over, Veronica would learn that you can't always have control. Not when it's not yours to begin with. The dinner progressed smoothly, at least on the surface. Everyone played their parts, elegant smiles, polite conversation, and the clinking of glasses. But the tension between Veronica and me simmered beneath the surface, like a time bomb ticking away. She wasn't the type to let a slight go unnoticed, and I knew it was only a matter of time before she'd strike back. I took a seat at the main table, the seat next to Rachel. The rest of the family was chatting animatedly, discussing everything from the latest business deals to Rachel's recent promotion at work. I tried to stay engaged, but my mind kept drifting back to Veronica. Every now and then, I'd catch her glancing in my direction, her eyes narrowed, calculating. She wasn't about to let me have the last word. And I wasn't going to let her control this dinner. Rachel caught my eye and leaned in, her voice soft but filled with concern. Are you okay? You seem off tonight. I forced a smile, not wanting to burden her with the drama unfolding in my mind. I'm fine, just a little tired. It's been a long week. She didn't buy it. Rachel knew me too well, and she could tell something was wrong. But, thankfully, she didn't press. She gave me a reassuring smile before turning her attention back to her mother. Meanwhile, Veronica was sitting at the far end of the table, the picture of perfection, but I could tell she was fuming. Every few minutes, her eyes would flick to me, and she'd exchange whispered words with her husband, Greg. He was a quiet man, and for the most part, he seemed content to let Veronica take the lead in their marriage. But tonight, he was unusually tense, looking over his shoulder at me every so often. It was clear he knew something was coming, and he wasn't ready for it. Dinner was served, but I wasn't hungry. I'd barely touched my food when Veronica stood up, her voice cutting through the conversation like a knife. Aaron, we need to talk, she announced, her tone dripping with false sweetness. The room quieted, and all eyes turned toward us. I could feel my blood start to boil, but I maintained my composure. Not here, Veronica, I said, my voice calm but firm. But Veronica wasn't going to back down. She flashed a tight smile, her gaze never leaving mine. Oh, but I think we should, she said, her voice growing louder. After all, we wouldn't want anyone to think I'm being unreasonable, would we? My heart sank. I had no idea where this was headed, but I had a feeling it wasn't going to be good. Rachel looked at me, her expression faltering, and for a moment, I thought I saw the hint of fear in her eyes. She knew Veronica all too well. I stood up slowly, not wanting to make a scene, but knowing I had no choice. The whole family was watching now, and there was no way out. Veronica, we don't need to do this here, I said, my voice tight with frustration. If you have an issue with me, let's take it outside. But Veronica wasn't done. She wasn't just going to let me off the hook. No, Aaron, she said, her words laced with venom. We need to talk about the money. I froze. The entire room went still. Money. That word had been the quiet undertone of everything in this family, but it had never been spoken aloud so bluntly before. The reality hit me hard. I had known for years that Veronica had always been obsessed with money, my money, specifically, but this was a different level. She wasn't just going to use the subtle jabs and backhanded compliments anymore. No, she was going for the jugular now. What money? I asked, keeping my voice steady even though I could feel the sweat forming on my palms. Veronica's lips curled into a smile, as though she knew she had me cornered. Oh, come on, Aaron. Don't play dumb. The money you promised to invest in the family business. She paused, her gaze now shifting to Rachel, who was looking increasingly uncomfortable. I'm talking about the loan you took out, the one you never told anyone about. The one that's been tied to your name for months. My stomach churned, but I didn't let it show. What loan? I asked, my voice carefully controlled, but inside, I was starting to unravel. Veronica leaned in, her face inches from mine. Oh, don't act like you don't know. I have the paperwork right here, Aaron. I've been waiting for the right moment to bring this up, but now seems as good a time as any. She reached into her designer bag and pulled out a file. My eyes widened as she placed the papers on the table for everyone to see. The room was silent. Rachel's face drained of color as she looked from the papers to me. Aaron, is this true? I didn't answer right away. The truth was, I didn't even know about the loan Veronica was referring to. I had no memory of taking out any loan, especially not one tied to the family business. But Veronica's smug smile told me everything I needed to know. She had orchestrated this. This is a family matter, Rachel, Veronica said, her voice smooth, almost sickly sweet. I just thought it was important for everyone to know that Aaron has been hiding a rather large debt. A debt that is, unfortunately, going to fall on all of us unless he can find a way to pay it off. I could feel the walls closing in around me. Rachel's eyes locked with mine, searching for answers I didn't have. The embarrassment was suffocating, and I couldn't get my bearings. What do you mean it'll fall on all of us? Rachel whispered, her voice barely audible. Oh, don't worry, Rachel. The creditors will come for the family if Aaron doesn't settle it, Veronica said, her eyes glinting with satisfaction. And guess who's first in line? You. I could see the shock on Rachel's face, her lips trembling as she processed the words Veronica had just thrown at her. My heart broke for her. This was supposed to be a happy night, a family celebration, and now it had all turned into an open battlefield. I wasn't going to let Veronica win. Rachel, I didn't take out any loan, I said, my voice steady but full of urgency. I swear, I don't know what she's talking about. But I'll prove it. I'll get the bank statements, I'll get everything you need. But Veronica wasn't listening. Her eyes never left me, her victory almost tangible. Oh, you'll prove it all right, Aaron, she said, her voice dripping with malice. But by the time you do, it'll be too late. I couldn't breathe. The air in the room felt thick, suffocating. Veronica's words echoed in my mind, each syllable a blow to my chest. You're going to pay for this, she had said. And I was beginning to realize that she wasn't just talking about money. She was going to destroy me, piece by piece, until there was nothing left. Rachel's eyes were wide with disbelief as she looked from the papers to me. She was searching for any sign of reassurance, any hint that I wasn't the man Veronica was painting me to be. But there was nothing I could say. Veronica had already framed the story. I was guilty in the eyes of everyone in the room. I could feel the heat rising in my chest. The anger was simmering beneath the surface, but I had to stay calm. I couldn't let Veronica see me sweat. She thrived on my weakness. Rachel, I said, my voice low, trying to keep my tone even, I swear to you, I didn't take out any loan. I don't know what this is, but I'll figure it out. I'll prove it. Rachel's face softened slightly, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. She didn't want to believe that I could have kept something like this from her. But the evidence was in front of her, and I couldn't change that. I glanced at Veronica, whose smug grin seemed to widen with every passing second. She was relishing this moment, every bit of it. I wanted to scream, to lash out at her for doing this, for turning our family dinner into a nightmare. But I knew that would only make it worse. Prove it, Aaron, Veronica said, leaning back in her chair, her arms crossed. Because right now, you look like a man who's hiding something. And I don't think Rachel wants to stand by a man who's lying to her. The words stung, more than I cared to admit. I had spent years building my life, my career, and my relationship with Rachel on a foundation of trust. And now, in one moment, Veronica had torn it all apart. I glanced at Rachel again, her eyes full of hurt and confusion. She didn't know what to think, and that hurt more than anything Veronica could throw at me. I'll get to the bottom of this, I said, my voice firmer this time. I promise you, Rachel, I didn't take out any loan. I'm not hiding anything from you. But Veronica wasn't done. Oh, I'm sure you'll figure it out, she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. But don't take too long. The bank's already been calling. And I'm sure they'll be more than happy to involve the rest of the family if you can't pay them back. My heart dropped. I hadn't received any calls. I hadn't seen anything that could explain what Veronica was talking about. But she had planned this, every word, every move, had been calculated to destroy me. I'll call the bank, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll clear this up. Rachel still hadn't spoken. She was just sitting there, her gaze locked on the papers, her fingers nervously tapping on the table. I could see the cracks forming in her trust, and it was killing me. Finally, she looked up at me, her voice barely above a whisper. Aaron, I don't know what's going on, but I need to know the truth. If there's something you're not telling me, I need to hear it now. I don't want to be part of this mess. I felt my stomach churn. It wasn't like Rachel to doubt me, to question our relationship. But Veronica had done her damage. She had planted the seed of doubt, and now it was growing like a poison. I'm not hiding anything, I said, my voice raw. I swear to you, Rachel. I've never taken out a loan in your name or in the family's name. This is all Veronica. She's playing some sick game, and I'm not going to let her win. Veronica chuckled softly, her eyes glinting with malice. You really think anyone's going to believe that, Aaron? You've been living in denial for too long. The truth always comes out eventually. And when it does, you'll have nowhere to hide. I stood up, my hands clenched into fists. You're a liar, Veronica, I said, my voice low and threatening. You're going to regret this. But she wasn't fazed. If anything, her smile grew wider. She was enjoying every minute of this. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she was playing me like a puppet on a string. Rachel stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the floor. Enough, she said, her voice sharp. I've had enough of this. I don't care what's going on between you two, but I'm not going to let you drag me into it. I'm done. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Rachel, please, I said, my voice desperate. Don't walk away from me. You have to trust me. But Rachel was already walking toward the door. I need some space, Aaron, she said, her voice breaking. I can't deal with this right now. And with that, she was gone. The room was silent. It was just me and Veronica now. I turned to face her, fury rising within me. You've gone too far this time, I spat. This isn't just about a loan anymore. You've destroyed my relationship, my trust with Rachel. And I swear to God, you will regret this. Veronica didn't flinch. You really think you can scare me, Aaron? You have no idea who you're dealing with. You're nothing. A little pawn in my game. And this? This is just the beginning. I knew she was right. I had underestimated her for too long. She had thought this through. She had been working behind the scenes, pulling strings, and now she was watching the chaos unfold. But I wasn't going to let her win. Not like this. Not when everything I cared about was on the line. I will find out the truth, Veronica, I said, my voice low and cold. And when I do, you will pay for everything. She shrugged, her smirk never wavering. Good luck with that, Aaron. You'll need it. The silence that followed Rachel's departure was suffocating. The kind of silence that fills your ears and presses on your chest until you can't breathe, can't think. I felt the walls closing in around me as I stood in the empty room, the weight of Veronica's cruel words still ringing in my ears. I needed to fix this. I needed to fix everything. But as the hours ticked by, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing control, losing Rachel, and everything I had worked so hard for. I sat down at the kitchen table, staring at the pile of papers in front of me, Veronica's little evidence of my so-called betrayal. I knew it wasn't real, but the problem was that everyone else seemed to believe it was. Veronica had planted those seeds, watered them with lies, and now she was watching them grow. Watching me drown in the mess she created. I ran my fingers through my hair, my thoughts scattered. How had I let this happen? I should have seen it coming. Veronica had always been calculating, always looking for a way to manipulate those around her. I should have been prepared. But I wasn't. I reached for my phone and dialed Rachel's number. It rang twice before going to voicemail. I stared at the screen for a moment before hanging up, frustration boiling in my gut. I had to fix this. I had to make Rachel understand that I wasn't the person Veronica was making me out to be. I stood up and paced the kitchen. My mind raced. What if she didn't believe me? What if I had already lost her for good? What if Veronica had won? I couldn't let that happen. I wouldn't let it. The doorbell rang, pulling me out of my spiraling thoughts. I glanced toward the front door, confused. No one came by unannounced anymore. Hesitantly, I walked toward it and opened it, half expecting it to be Veronica, ready to gloat. But it wasn't her. It was the bank representative. Mr. Harris, he asked, his tone polite but formal. I'm from Wellspring Bank. We need to discuss an urgent matter regarding a loan application associated with your account. My stomach dropped. This was it. Veronica had gone straight to the bank. She'd found a way to turn everything against me, and now it was happening for real. Come in, I said, stepping aside to let him in. I felt like a man walking to his own execution. I led him to the living room, my mind already running through the scenarios in which I could explain this mess, try to prove that I wasn't responsible. But the more I thought about it, the more the truth felt like it was slipping further and further away. The man set down a stack of paperwork on the coffee table and slid it toward me. We've received a loan application under your name, Mr. Harris. The loan has already been processed, and we're now in the stage of securing repayment. I glanced down at the papers, feeling a cold sweat break out across my forehead. There it was. The evidence. The loan in my name. Veronica's trap was real, and now I had to figure out how to get myself out of it. I don't know anything about this, I said, my voice strained. I didn't take out any loan. This is a mistake. The man didn't seem convinced. I'm afraid it's not a mistake, sir. The loan application was submitted online and verified under your personal information. It's been approved and funds were transferred. I took a deep breath. I couldn't let panic take over. Can you trace the IP address of the application? Find out where it came from? He looked at me, his expression unreadable. We can look into it, but that won't change the fact that the loan has been processed. I didn't do this, I said, my voice desperate. Someone else did this to me. They're framing me. The representative gave me a sympathetic look, but he didn't seem to believe me. I knew I was running out of time. If I didn't act fast, everything would be ruined: Rachel, my reputation, my life. Veronica had played her hand, and now I had to figure out how to play mine. I'll get to the bottom of this, I said, my tone firm despite the panic crawling up my spine. I will find out who did this and clear my name. Just give me time. He nodded slowly. I'll put a temporary hold on any further actions, but you'll need to contact us within the next few days with a resolution, or the loan will go into default. With that, he left, leaving me alone with a growing sense of dread gnawing at me. I needed to find out how Veronica had done this. I needed to track down the source of the application and stop her before it was too late. But I couldn't do it alone. I grabbed my phone again, this time calling my brother, Mark. He was the only one I could trust to help me figure this out. If anyone could help me track down the loan's origins, it was him. Mark, I need your help, I said when he picked up. Something's wrong. I think Veronica's setting me up, and I need you to help me figure out where this loan came from. I can't do it alone. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. What are you talking about, Aaron? A loan? I'll explain everything later. Right now, I just need your help. Can you trace something for me? I'll do whatever I can, Mark said, his voice steady. Send me the details. I quickly texted him the loan papers, the bank's contact info, and everything I knew. He was the one person who could help me unravel this mess before it swallowed me whole. But as I hit send, I couldn't help but feel like it might already be too late. The days blurred together, a hazy whirlwind of phone calls, paperwork, and mounting pressure. The loan situation was spiraling out of control, and I could feel the weight of it pressing down on me more and more with each passing hour. My brother, Mark, had managed to trace the origin of the loan application to an untraceable IP address. The trail had gone cold. No surprise there, Veronica had covered her tracks well. Everywhere I turned, I was met with dead ends. I couldn't afford to let the loan go into default, or my financial future would be ruined. And that wasn't even the worst of it. The longer Rachel stayed away, the further she slipped from me, and I couldn't shake the guilt gnawing at me. It was all my fault, wasn't it? I'd been too trusting, too blind to Veronica's manipulations. The tension at home was unbearable. I barely spoke to Veronica anymore, each encounter a cold, silent standoff. But I knew she was watching, waiting, perhaps even enjoying the chaos she had unleashed. She thrived in it. She always had. I couldn't keep running from this. I couldn't let her win. I was done being her pawn. One night, as I sat at the kitchen table, trying to sift through more of the paperwork, my phone rang. My heart skipped when I saw Rachel's name on the screen. For a moment, I hesitated. Was it too late to salvage things? Would she even listen to me after everything that had happened? I answered it, my voice tight with uncertainty. Rachel? Aaron, she said, her voice strained, but soft. We need to talk. The air felt thick as I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I agree. Where are you? I'm at a cafe. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I hung up the phone, my hands trembling. Was this it? Was this the moment where everything could fall apart, or everything could finally start to heal? I rushed out of the house, my mind racing. I drove quickly, the world outside seeming like a blur, every streetlight and every turn speeding me toward the unknown. The cafe was a small, quiet place, tucked away in the corner of town. Rachel was already sitting at a table near the window when I arrived. She looked up as I walked in, her eyes tired but determined. She hadn't changed much, still beautiful, still the woman I loved. But there was a hardness in her expression now, one I hadn't seen before. Veronica had done that. Veronica had driven a wedge between us, and I had let her. I sat down across from Rachel, my stomach tight. There was a long silence before she spoke. "Aaron," she started, her voice low, "I've been thinking a lot about everything, about what happened, about the loan, about us." She paused, clearly struggling. "And I want to believe you. I want to believe that you didn't take out that loan, but everything looks so bad. It looks like you're hiding something." I took a deep breath, meeting her gaze. This was it, the moment I had to face the truth, and make her see it, too. "Rachel, I swear to you, I didn't do it. Veronica has been setting me up from the beginning. She used me. She manipulated everyone around me, and she's made you doubt me." My voice trembled, but I kept my focus. "She's good at making things look one way when they're really another. But I need you to trust me." Rachel looked at me, her brow furrowed. She didn't say anything, but I could see the confusion in her eyes. She wanted to believe me, I knew that. But there were too many lies, too many questions she didn't have answers for. "I'm not asking you to trust me blindly, Rachel," I continued. "I'm asking you to see the truth. Everything that's happened, the loan, the accusations, even the lies I told you before, it's all because of Veronica. She's been controlling this entire situation, and she's been working behind the scenes to ruin me. To ruin us." Rachel's eyes softened, and I could see the walls she had built around herself starting to crack. "But how do you know it was her? How do you know for sure that?" "Because I've seen her do it before," I interrupted, my voice firm now. "She's done this to other people, Rachel. She's used people, made them think they were in the wrong, and then watched them suffer while she stayed in the shadows. And now she's trying to destroy me, destroy us." Rachel's eyes flickered with understanding. "But how do we stop her?" I reached across the table and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We fight back. We expose her for what she's done. I've already called the bank and told them what happened. I'm working with Mark to trace the loan back to her, to find out exactly how she did it." I could see the hope flicker in her eyes. "So there's still a chance to fix it?" "There's always a chance," I said, my voice determined. "But only if we fight together." We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the past few days hanging between us. But for the first time in a long while, I felt like we were on the same side again. I could see the trust returning to Rachel's eyes, and I knew we could make it through this, as long as we stood together. Rachel stood up suddenly, her expression resolute. "Then let's do it. Let's bring Veronica down." I nodded, standing up with her. "Together." And as we walked out of that cafe, I knew that no matter what came next, no matter how hard the battle would be, we would face it together. Veronica had made the mistake of underestimating us. And now, she was going to pay for it.